Hello you lovely people, hope you've battened down the hatches and taken down the mainsail because the Typhoon is finally here. Please excuse my voice, I've got a bit of a cold going on, so not feeling too bright. With that, let's get into the plane itself. Everyone loves a livery, and this module certainly doesn't disappoint. We've got a plain livery here. We've got basically one of every squadron in the Royal Air Force that flies a Typhoon, bar 12 Squadron, which is the joint Qatari Royal Air Force Squadron, and 17 Squadron, which was the evaluation squadron at the start of the Typhoon's life in the Royal Air Force. But I'm sure those will get made at some point by either CJ Simulations or of course somebody in the community. But we have Tiger Meat liveries from the Spanish Air Force, the Luftwaffe, we've got Saudi Air Force, to name but a few. It's just there is a lot of selection there, and it's nice to have. My two favourites are 6 Squadron, the flying can openers, and 41 Squadron, which is the test and evaluation squadron, also based at Coningsby. So I'm going to jump in 6 Squadron and let's have a look around the cockpit. Right, so we're in the cold and dark cockpit and looking around. They've done a very nice rendition of a Typhoon cockpit. Not as many switches as you'd expect, yeah, most of today's avionics systems are controlled by multifunctional displays and the soft keys surrounding them, so only the real dedicated buttons will be around, like the fuel cock, starter switches, battery, or that sort of stuff. Anything else will be MFD bound. Obviously we've got a HUD here, which is nice to see a different shape for a change. Over here is our data entry panel, autopilot, things like that. Up front, control display panel here. We can make the stick disappear with that switch, and also with the A flash, if we flick it so that the switch is up, we get a pilot body inside the cockpit on external views. As I'm not external at the moment, I will switch that off. So what I'll do is we'll do a walk around while it's cold and dark, because it shows you a few of the little extras that come with the aircraft, which you probably may have noticed with the covers and chocks and things here. So let's jump outside. So as you can see, we've got our chocks, we've got covers, both for the intakes and for the exhausts. We've got a cover on there, head-up display as well. Delivery is quite nice, very nicely done. Obviously the APU there has had a lot of action, and yeah, somebody else has got a Typhoon. A lot of action at Coningsby at the moment, as you would expect with this release. So yeah, if we jump back in, I'll get it all up and running, and then we will check out what it's like when it's breathing. Right, so she's up and running. Looking around the cockpit, you can see that, well, the annunciator panel is clear, which is how we want it, and all the switches that are needed to be flicked on are already on. It's basically a matter of eyes forward. You really don't need to take your eyes off of any of this stuff and come down here to use any of these switches until shutdown, which is quite handy, very ergonomic, and user friendly. See data entry, so if you're going to be entering waypoints, you do that there. All of your autopilot there, like I say, your head-up display, things like your bearing, your barometric pressure, VVS and the middle there, and angle of attack, all that sort of stuff will all show up on here as and when needed. Got our up front control here, which is a bit like a Garmin, which will have your flight plan and everything on. It's all touch screen. And we've got a moving map in the middle. So if we go round, we can do change to fuel, engine, hydraulics, waypoints, frequencies. Then you can change things to stores, HUD, and other things like that. No weapons. But you can also, if we click Elev there, elevation, we have a forward looking infrared. Now for some reason my forward infrared is only showing as half a screen. I've spoken to CJ Simulations about this, and they think it could be a screen refresh issue. As I have tried an updated install, they thought could be faulty, but it wasn't that case. So just my machine. It's happening to some people, but not everybody. But yeah, you have the choice of having a forward-looking infrared. Also, we have a helmet-mounted display. If we come down to this scroller there, as you can see, if we look around, we have all our information up front on the visor. Now, if we wanted to, we could click on night vision and bring the night vision up. I'm not sure how effective that is. I've not tried it yet. I may add that when I do the dark lighting for the aircraft near the end of the video. But yeah, everything is what you would expect. If you're thinking this is going to be a study level aircraft, unfortunately that isn't the case. What it is though is a sort of an in-between between the DC Designs F-15s, which by the way have got a lot more up to date since the sim itself got updated, and with a little bit of the complexity of the DC Designs Concorde with fuel management, things like that. So there's enough to keep you busy in the cockpit if you're not just having a joyride and flinging it around the sky, which I'm sure majority of people are going to do. I can foresee seeing a lot of blackjacks in the sky just messing around, and a lot of them going down the Mach loop. So now that we've looked at the live cockpit, let's put the also there's a nose wheel steering switch here, which will allow you to switch that on and off, and also give you a warning on the annunciator panel to let you know that it's on. If you switch it off, it disappears. Okay, so let's have a look at the external while it's up and running. So there you go, all good. We go around. Like I say, livery is nicely done, and with the brakes on. Don't know how much force the brakes can actually hold, but I wasn't even halfway through the throttle there. So yeah, let's get this thing down the end of the runway. Let's take the parking brake off, set our lights to taxi, and roll. Ground handling is quite nice. Actually feels like there's some weight behind it. It's not too heavy or too sensitive, which is always a bonus. There we go. Also forgot to show you that there is a refueling probe there, so if you want to simulate your air-to-air refuelings, you can. Close that up. just need to remember that I would say be a little bit liberal with the power management, as this thing has the ability to super cruise without reheat, meaning if you think you're in the safe zone and you're not watching your speed, you could easily cross the threshold and break the sound barrier. Not a big worry in the simulation world, but in real world events would have serious consequences. But yeah, if you're trying to play to real life, then you may want to just keep an eye on that. I'm just going to switch over to landing lights. Okay, brakes on. One last check before I take off. It's just going to be a quick climb to altitude, see what the climb rate is like, and also just stay in the vicinity of Coningsby. Do the usual flight checks, and then bring it in for an approach. So let's light the fires. I hate that saying. Why did I say that? It shouldn't take too long for this thing to get off the ground. Okay, and 55-degree climb. Just exceeded that. Okay, and we're still climbing. And we've gone into the Mac. Okay, so I might want to pull back. Seems this thing can exceed the sound barrier in a climb. Very impressive. Okay, so the flight control is very responsive. Very sleek aircraft, so it's very responsive. Inherently unstable, with having flight computers having to keep the thing in the air. So you're expecting a little bit of, I suppose, in terms, aggressive way of flying, because it's trying to leave the flight envelope. So yeah, that's how I would put it. It's very, like I say, very responsive. Just doing an S-turn, this thing just doesn't want to stop. This thing's just got energy for days. Let's do a run and brake. Then I'll try an approach. Right, this bit I've got to be careful. Like I say, once it gets below 220 knots, the auto trim cuts out and it starts to drift away from you. So get this thing, get gear down. Probably turned in a little bit too early there.
Power.
Okay, that was a bit dodgy, but yeah, not bad. Enjoyed that. Right, so let's have a look at some of this night lighting and anything else that needs to be shown, and then we'll get on to the summary. So for night lighting in the cockpit, the main floodlights are here, and labelling. So floodlight and labelling there, and that will bring up all the lovely green and these white labels. All the brightnesses on the MFDs work, including the helmet mounted display obviously, and the HUD, also things like that. And then we have the formation lights, or as they're colloquially known as slime lights. Let's just get this in a level flight and go outside view. So there you have it. Formation lights are on, anti-collisions and nav lights are on, inside cockpit lighting is on. Last thing to show is the reheat. Yeah, burn baby burn. Right, okay, so on with the summary. So to summarise, this module is a lot of fun. I mean, I've only been flying it since its release this morning. It's now 1 in the afternoon. Not been flying it too long, but I know enough that I want to keep flying it. It's definitely a different kettle of fish to fly compared to, say, the F-15 or anything like that. So don't expect the exact same characteristics from those type of aircraft. It's, with the amount of liveries that come with it, there's a nice selection, so you've got variety, and there's enough systems on it and a complexity to keep you busy during any flight. It's not what you would call a study level module, but that's not what this one's about. If that is your thing, then I guess this aircraft's not for you. But if you're somebody who just likes flying in general, has a passion for aviation, isn't a rivet counter, yeah, this will keep you entertained for hours. I mean, I'm jumping straight back on once I've finished my video, so I'll be online tonight flying it as well, and probably most of the weekend. So yeah, I mean, what more can I say about it? You need to have the aircraft to really experience it. This really is something quite different in the flight sim universe. I don't know why I've gone down a Marvel route. But yeah, for the price of £24.99 as well, I think it's completely worth it. A lot of work and effort has gone into liveries, the systems, flight dynamics. They've not skipped anything, not to my knowledge anyway. All I've got to do is get the bug out of my forward looking infrared and make it so that it shows up full screen, but like I say, that is just for some people. Not everyone's reporting it. So if you like Typhoons, if you like flying in general, then totally recommend it, and I guarantee you'll have a lot of fun flying it. So with that, I'll finish off here. As you got this far, thank you very much, and yeah, take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.